Welcome to Tom's Diner, a Cyberpunk TCG podcast. My name is Dodd.
My name's Andy.
We're back for episode 2. Last time we talked about who we are, where we came from, why we're doing this, and some rampant speculation about how the game might evolve. This time we're going to do a different kind of rampant speculation. The closeout stream for the Kickstarter, they revealed that there are 4 legends that they haven't revealed yet that will be in the beginning set, and they're going to be teasing out at some point in the next few months. So we decided to come up with a list of 5 characters from any of the sources that we would like to see in the game. Not necessarily one of those 4 missing legends that will be in the first set, but just the characters we'd like to see and what kind of power would fit that character thematically.
Yeah, and I personally at least chose not to include anyone that was primarily from Phantom Liberty, just because we know that either set 2 or set 3 is going to have a focus on Edge Runners and Phantom Liberty, and they've sort of said what some of the sources for those later sets are. So I tried to pull people that are in the base game. You might have done the same or you might not, but we haven't heard each other's powers or anything like that, so this will be a little bit goofy.
Yeah, we made our list separately. We did end up having 3 in common, so we're going to do those as we go along and just talk about it at the same time.
And I can tell Dodd why I'm right and he's wrong on the powers.
Yeah, well,
my favorite
we don't know what each other's powers are. I put colors, RAM, and cost and power on. I don't think you did that.
Oh, no, I just did ability. We could play around with that and talk about whether it's a late game card, early game card, based on what the ability is, because obviously if it has a strong ability, it probably shouldn't have 10 power or anything crazy like that, but we'll see.
All right, so let's just get going. What you got first?
Well, to start off literally with a bang, my first is Ozab Bozo, our favorite clown face paint, grenade-nosed goofball. One thing that we saw when we played the alpha decks, and obviously that's a very small portion of what the potential gameplay is going to be, is that if your opponent got early blockers on the board, it became difficult to steal gigs and you could fall behind even if you had good board presence. So the idea that I had for Ozab, again, because he has a grenade on his nose, is something that could be an early game card to get some tempo, but it could be a late game card to get around a key blocker. Is the idea that he would be a unit that would be able to ignore blockers on an attack, and if he does that, you would defeat Ozab at the end of the turn. So the idea is he could get through a defense, but doing so would cause him to explode. So if you're 1 gig away from the win, it's something that could get you over the top, or if you need to get through something early for some reason to trigger another effect for stealing a gig, that he could do that for you.
All right. My first one is Lucius Rhine, the mayor of Night City, who, spoiler alert, dies to a spiked brain dance in a house of ill repute. I made him a green unit, 5 cost, 3 power, 4 RAM, and I made him that cost and RAM profile because the power I give him is, if this unit is spent, your corpo units of power 2 or less have blocker. Because he started out as a civil rights icon and became an agent of the corpse as mayor. During the heist, you actually see him in with Arasaka planning nefarious deeds in a hotel room in Konpeki Plaza. So he has become a tool of the corpse, and I thought, okay, well, he can't get that benefit himself because he's 3 power, but he can only be in a green deck that's got at least 2 green legends, and he costs a bunch.
Okay, so maybe you can clarify a rules question for me, and apologies for not knowing this already.
Sure.
If he is giving other units blocker, if he's spent, your other corporate units gain blocker, can your opponent choose to attack him directly with a unit, or could they be blocked by a block?
If you choose to attack either the player or a specific spent unit, a blocker can intercede.
Yeah, then I think that card is broken. Because the only way to turn blocker off is to get him off the board, and if you can't get through his blockers...
Well, it only works on 2 power or less, and you have to have the corpo tag out on the card.
Yeah.
I didn't put tags on any of mine because I haven't seen enough of them to know how they're distributed, but a couple will be obvious, but I don't know what tags he
I mean, I like that idea of like clan synergy, for lack of a better word, but I wonder if there's a way to tweak that. Yeah, I like the idea.
I made him expensive. I made him give him a high RAM cost, and I limited it just to corpo units of 2 power or less. But I'm just trying to explore some more of the design space. And that'll be the theme of all.
And I promise I'm not going to push back and say, "Well, that's dumb." Apparently
you are.
I'm 1 for 1 so far.
What you got next?
My second is Melissa Rory. Melissa Rory is a former cyber psycho who was taken down by MaxTac, and then MaxTac incorporated her into MaxTac, and by the time 2077 starts, she's, I think, a lieutenant with MaxTac.
I think she is.
So the idea that she's also in the original trailer.
She's the hottie in the trailer that they take down, yeah.
So I put her as a legend, actually. And the power that I gave is search your deck for a card named MaxTac Squadron. So that's a card, the art was recently spoiled, so we know that card's in the game. Or Mantis Blades, because in the backstory she had Mantis Blades installed. And add it to your hand and give her the ability to go solo as well. So what I was thinking with that is she either
can call in...
Yes, so it's either call in backup and she can build board presence through MaxTac, tack, or you can grab Mantis Blades and equip them on her when she goes solo. So it gives you some flexibility for how you want to deploy, a unit. We've seen cards like Alt Cunningham that have go solo and have another ability. So you'd have to play around with their power level to see what would be acceptable without being too strong or too weak, but just like anything else.
Well, no, that's appropriate. She's the one who leads the MacTac squad that comes into the clothing store, and she has a long conversation with V about how her out-of-date Mantis Blades, she likes them better because of the way they feel, even though they apparently exacerbate cyberpsychosis.
Yeah, exactly. So I always try, if I'm coming up with a design for something, I try to lead with theme and then find a mechanic that works for the character.
Right.
Especially, obviously, in an assignment like this, which is come up with 5 characters and give them some abilities. There's only one that I said, this is an ability I would like in the game. Let me find a character that works for that.
And if you dig deep into the shards and stuff, you will come away with a very strong impression that basically any time MaxTac takes down a Cyber Psycho, there's a very good chance that person's going to end up being MaxTac. But certainly her, we know that for sure. All right, my next one is Lizzie Wizzy. Blue unit, 4 cost, 2 power, 4 ram again. Defeated, you may flip a face-down legend or flip a face-up legend face down. This is a part of the design space I really want to see explored. It's a flip, not a call. So of the cards we've seen so far, the only one it would trigger would be Victor Vector. But if you were building a deck that had more legends with flip powers, she would be useful for that. But it would also be a way to cheat any legend into play because you don't have to pay the 2. But I also like the idea of being able to take one of your face-up legends, flip it back down so that you could get its ability again.
Okay, so if you're limiting it to your own legends, I think it's cool. As you described it, I was worried that you were going to say you could flip an opponent's legend.
It did not occur to me to restrict it, but that is the intention, is it should say one of your face-down or face-up legends. No.
Then I think that's a really cool space.
So that's something I'd really like to see. And again, it's a 4 ram card in blue. I think we perceived that blue was the manipulation rather than control faction.
Yeah, manipulating gig values, manipulating cards in play.
But again, you have to be at least 2 deep into blue to get her, so she's not going to be in every deck.
Yeah. All right, so that's on to our number 3 now, and this is where, because we had crossover, this is where we're going to line up, so let's see what we had in mind that were different abilities.
Well, when he told me, we discussed this last night, and he was all smug and proud of himself for coming up with this one, and I was like, yeah, she's on my list too. She's so obvious, you have to have her. Everybody's already guessed that it's
Rita Wheeler,
of course it is.
The bouncer at Lizzie's bar. So the ability that I came up with is that while she's in play as a unit, the only gig your rival can steal is the one with the lowest value. So she's not keeping your opponent from stealing gigs, but if you have a deck that's built on achieving a certain street cred threshold, that if you roll a 10 on a 12, they can't immediately steal that and put you back below your threshold. They've got to find a way to get through your D4 or your D6 or whatever is your lowest number. So probably a little bit niche on the ability, but just coming up with blocker as somebody that stands in front of a door with a bat didn't seem all that interesting.
Well, mine couldn't be more different. I made her a red legend.
Okay.
No cost, no power, 1 ram, because I want to start exploring that space. First time a Mox unit attacks each turn, return a Brain Dance program from your discard pile to your hand.
Okay, so then you're going all in on like an Evelyn Parker Brain Dance style.
Well, we've seen,
deck,
you'll see this come up again in my cards, but the Street Kid V, the male V, when he's defeated, you do something with Brain Dances in your discard pile. So I'm thinking the Brain Dance is going to be some kind of recursion deck.
Well, Alt Cunningham, right, pulls a program out of your discard pile.
But you have to remove Alt Cunningham from the game. But what little we've seen of Brain Dances so far suggests that they're going to be moving back and forth because Brain Dance is a subset of programs where she can get any.
Yeah, and I think both of us are going with that is interesting because I think you can have very different types of abilities that still fit what the character does in the game when as one being a legend and one being a unit. Because we've seen Jackie Wells as a unit.
The Alpha deck has both Goro and Jackie Wells as legends and
legends
units.
And units. So you have different ways to get the same bite of the apple.
All right. What's your 4th one?
All right. The 4th one, which is one that I didn't think you were going to have, is Raish Bartmoss. So I actually had 2 ideas on this, so it's cheating a little bit, because one is the idea of a legend and one is the idea of a unit. As a unit, my idea was to give him blocker and to give him the ability, when defeated, add this unit to your Eddie row, exhausted. So
a little bit of ramp.
A little bit of ramp, which we talked about in episode 1 with Adam Smasher.
You're literally fridging him.
Yes, you're fridging him, but it's giving you a benefit and building your board state. You are a Sherlock Holmes fan, like I am. What's the name Raish mean?
I don't remember.
What is it German for?
I don't remember. It's been a very long time.
Rache, revenge, which fits obviously with the theme of the character, but when defeated, put him into your row and get a benefit seemed like a fun way to go about that. The other idea that I had was as a legend instead was when called, place the top card of your deck in your Eddie row exhausted. So same idea, but just giving you ramp as you flipped him, whichever.
So mine is Green Legend, 0 cost, 0 power, 2 ram. Call, search the top 5 cards of your deck for a quick hack and put it in your hand. Bottom deck the remaining cards. And I could also see him fitting in yellow. Go find yourself a program that harms people. It's very British to me.
Sure. And as I like tutors in decks and in card games as long as they have some restriction. I don't like the go find any card, but that having some limits on it is good.
Well, we've got cards like that already, so I've stayed within the format. And he might be better in yellow, but the idea of him being go find a quick hack, just seeing, I mean, when you find his deck, it's got quick hacks on it.
Yeah, finding a specific program is great. That's a great way, especially in a game that so far has fairly limited card draw.
Right.
Being able to find not a silver bullet, but a bullet is a big deal.
All right, last one.
Last one, and last but definitely not least, is our friend Gerald Winkler, better known as
Gary the Prophet.
Yep. So my idea here, and I don't know why I was so fixated on the idea of street cred. I guess that's an area that I'm looking to try to find some.
Mine are all card draw, so.
Well, of course they are. If anybody's ever played any game with you ever, it's
always card draw.
We played a game the other night that you said, wow, you have the Dodd strategy tonight of just drawing as many cards as possible. So the ability I gave him was, when played, look at your opponent's hand, because he is receiving Arasaka transmissions through a faulty chip in his brain in the game. If you have less than 15 street cred, you may discard a card from that hand and defeat this unit. So if you remember in the game, he is a...
How do you trigger that?
So when you play him, you can look at your opponent's hand. If you have below a certain threshold, you can discard a card. But if you do, you defeat him immediately. So it's going to give you information either way. So late game, you're going to see what's in their hand. If you play it early game, you have the ability to discard a card to take a tool away from them. But if you do, then he's abducted by aliens.
And you have to be really far behind.
Yeah, if it's late game, you have to be far behind. Or early game, you can still use him effectively as a paid discard ability.
That's pretty harsh. How much he would have to cost a lot for that, because there's so little card draw in the game that removing a card from somebody's hand, he would have to cost
You're
5.
also defeating him when you do it, though. Right. So this is Gary the Prophet. Gary's got to have a good ability. There's no...
Well, I made him a yellow unit, 3 cost, 1 power, 3 ram, so, not in every yellow deck. I thought about, since you brought it up, my first thought for him, because he was the first unit I thought of when we decided to do this, about making him a tutor. Go find a card and put it in your hand. I realized that's way too powerful for this game. The game doesn't seem to have any interest in that design space, so I kept paring it down. He's a 3 cost yellow unit with 1 power. On defeated, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may discard 1. Put 1 in your hand, 1 on top of your deck, and bottom deck the remaining cards. I started at 10.
So the control player in you and the card draw player in you just cannot be stopped here. It's filtering, tutoring. Yeah, on the Timmy combos of...
The last thing I added was you may discard 1, because again, we've already got cards that play with your discard pile. So if you want to have a brain dance in your discard pile for V to go get...
Right, you can seed that.
Seed that. So far we haven't seen much way of doing that. So that was my last one. So yeah, we came up with wildly different things, and even though 3 of our 5 were the same, not discussed in advance.
Yeah, completely different abilities.
Please, it was a good experiment.
Yeah, so let us know if you have a character that you think, obviously some or all of these characters are going to be in the first set of 140 cards. We fully expect several of them at least.
I kickstarted a Cyberpunk 2077 Legacy board game that's going to be play as the main characters, and everybody who kickstarted it gets a Gary the Prophet figure as a bonus. So I'm expecting Gary the Prophet to be in the original set. They just haven't told us yet. But if he's not, he will be soon enough.
So let us know who you thought of, what powers you thought of. Dodd, were there any other characters that you tried to find something for that were on your short list that didn't make it?
I thought about a couple of fixers, because right now the only fixer who's in the game is Rogue, but she's not really a fixer in the sense that the others are. She's a main character. Yeah. So I decided, you know what, they probably have a plan for fixers, and I'm not going to do any, but I thought about doing Dino in particular, or Mr. Hands.
Yeah, I thought about Mr. Hands. I thought about Blue Moon.
I thought about Blue Moon as well. Couldn't find a power I liked for it.
Yeah, and everything I tried got a little bit too cute. It was fine.
Well, she is very
find another member of that band just to have some synergy there, some procs and some bonuses if you had multiple, but that just seemed pretty standard and not as fun to talk about. I thought about Sasquatch, a couple of others.
I considered doing a couple pieces of gear and said, well, no, the idea was to do characters, but we can do gear some other time.
That's why I chose not to do Sasquatch, actually, is because the interesting thing about her is the hammer.
Hammer, yes.
So without the hammer, then what are you talking about?
All right, well, that's our set of characters that we thought of for the game. I don't think that any of the 4 missing legends is going to be one of them, although if Rita Wheeler is one of the 4 missing ones, I will not be shocked.
It could be Raish. I would be surprised if it was Raish on it.
Well, they have already shown that they're willing to make legends out of dead people, because David Martinez is one. Spoiler alert.
That's your second spoiler alert.
But no, I'm not expecting Raish to show up in this set, but I don't expect Rita Wheeler to be one of the 4 missing legends, but I won't be super shocked if she is, what I'm saying. So let's go to the Afterlife. Let's do a couple recommendations. Let's wrap up.
Yeah, sure. So my recommendation is very on the nose for this episode. There is a universe outside of the Cyberpunk 2077 video game. Obviously, there is the Cyberpunk Red RPG.
And its predecessors.
There are comics, which a lot of those are great. If you like the art in this game, I would strongly suggest going back and looking at the Dark Horse comics.
Well, they have specifically gone out of their way to incorporate some of the comic style art into the game as one of their sources. And like the Rebecca that everybody's getting off the beta box, for instance, is.
Yeah, and those are combined into some really cool deluxe editions. So if you don't want to go find loose comics, which I hate doing, then you can get a nice book that's as much art piece as it is story. The recommendation, though, that I have is if you like to read, and Dodd and I are both nerds and we read a lot, there is a Cyberpunk 2077 novel called No Coincidence by Rafal Kosick that is a really interesting getting a team together, scrappy, definitely not in the big league sort of ragtag team that comes across a Militech transport, and then what do they do and how do they figure this out without all getting blown up sort of story. If you're looking for more Cyberpunk story content and staying in the world while you're waiting for this game to come out, that's a good suggestion.
Okay. Mine is still in Cyberpunk, although somewhat more esoteric.
Lowercase c.
Yes, lowercase c. Cyberpunk genre rather than our Telsorian game Cyberpunk. And that is the Battle Angel Alita manga, which is an OG Cyberpunk universe. I mean, yes, the movie was fine. I recommend it if you like that kind of stuff, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original manga. The OVA, the less than an hour long anime based on it, the movie's quite true to it, but the original manga is amazing, and there's a lot of it. You can get the first series on Amazon in a deluxe edition that's hardbound in a box, and it reads from right to left in English for less than $79.
So what about Alita ties into Cyberpunk, or what's
Alita is a cyborg. If you haven't seen the movie or read the books, then this equivalent of a Ripper Doc, guy who does implants for people in a world where lots of people have chrome, finds her core, head, and upper torso in a junk pile under this floating city that nobody from the ground is ever allowed to go to, and restores her to functionality, and find out she's a 16-year-old girl, and eventually you find out she used to be an elite soldier in a war between Mars and the Earth that led to the circumstances that the world lives in now.
Interesting. That is one I have never read, never watched the movie. I just have not gotten into it. I'm not much of a manga person, but I'll have to check it out.
Well, I have the movie on Blu-ray right behind me. I'll send you home with it.
Okay.
But I would like to see Alita continue. But the manga is amazing. There's another series after that called Last Order. I have all of that too. And then there's a new series that as far as I understand, is just finished. He's been doing it for several years. The Mars Chronicles, which I believe he finished last year, but has not yet been either completely translated into English or put into volumes where I don't have to buy like 11 individual comics. So I have not read that last one yet.
Okay.
But I really liked Last Order. And the story, I'll tell you this, if you start reading the manga, the story is going to go places you do not expect. It's not
a cookie cutter.
It's not a cookie cutter story. If you start reading it, you'll be like, I did not see this coming. So
Nice.
that's my recommendation.
I'll check that out.
Battle Angel Alita. I'll put a link in the description to the Amazon and for both of these sets of books.
Great. Well, yeah, thanks everybody for listening.
All right, and see you next time, Chooms.